Agaswecki here from SKG, and let's talk about adaptability today. Adaptability and flexing. What better subject to touch on than discuss during this pandemic? So I don't know if any of you listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson. He is America's favorite astrophysicist, brilliant man, with an incredible podcast. But he always says that it's not the strongest, but the one that's fastest adaptable to change. And that's probably the best quote to start this wellness talk with. So adaptability is a muscle, just like resilience is a muscle. And I want us to think about too, that during this pandemic, we have a chance to exercise this muscle. We are meant to grow and expand. We are not meant to stay in place. We're not a tree. We're not meant to be stationary. So if you're that person that feels like they're always new, month to month or year to year, and you have to reintroduce yourself, you're a very healthy human being. So that's what we want to talk about today. And a couple of things about adaptability that are important is, number one, is you have to believe that you can actually adapt, that you have that ability, that you have that capability in you, and you absolutely do. So maybe it's something that needs to be exercised more, but you absolutely do. So think about this. There's 6 basic emotional needs. 2 of them are at war with each other at all times. That's certainty. So we want things to stay the same and be stable, and I know what I'm doing, and I know how things are. And then there's another need, which is the need of variety. I want things to be exciting. I want the adventure. I want things to change. We want both. And because there are 2 basic emotional needs out of the 6, we are going to find a way to meet them. And we need both. But they don't like each other. They're at war with each other at all times. Adaptability is that one ability that allows us to meander and navigate both of these places and kind of meet in the middle. Because adaptability allows us to shift and change and flex with grace and space. So that's what we want to do in this talk. But first, you actually have to believe that you're capable of flexing and changing. Believe that you're able to exercise that muscle and that for that muscle to get stronger. Number 2, and we all struggle with this, every single one of us, none of us is immune to it, is the resistance to change. We actually have to let go of the resistance and allow things to just unfold and happen. We have to allow ourselves forgiveness and grace and some room for things to evolve, emotions to happen, feelings to happen. We need to allow ourselves to digest it, but all of us. Resistance happens to all of us to change. We got to recognize it and then let go of it. Remember that your brain has billions of brain cells. There's a huge machine here in between your 2 ears. You are incredibly powerful. You're incredibly capable of changing, adapting, flexing, expanding, evolving. So I want to really stress this, because we all have this capability, and this time, this uncertain time, is the perfect time to exercise that and make that muscle stronger. And then finally, the last thing I want to touch on is changing small things before you adapt to large things, to big changes. So I'll give an example. I have a really dear friend of mine who struggled with her health, and she knew she couldn't have dairy, so I introduced her to my favorite dairy-free creamer. She was very resistant to it. Well, fast forward, she found out that her health issues became so bad that she actually had to make all these large changes all at once. She no longer had a choice of making small changes, one thing at a time. Her whole life got turned upside down, and she had to change everything and cut out all these things out of her diet, which was adjusting to it. But adaptability allows us to put certain small things in place. And remember, small steps are sustainable steps. If you do one push-up at a time and then you add another push-up the next day and the next day and the next day, your body will remember that this is normal for us. This is our habit. This is a part of our identity, versus let me build some muscle tomorrow, which is physically impossible, right? So it's small actions that create sustainable habits. And then when a big change happens, we can face it head on, and we're more prepared, we're more resilient, we're more flexible, and our mindset is much stronger. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.